Right. Okay, guys, so welcome to Series 2 of On the Hook. This is going to be the first episode back. Big welcome to Cptsalty, Potatolegion Nio, Skinny, and finally our new guest. And the new guest is Rosie. So Rosie's recently had a bit of a helping hand in the Ot versus True debate. So interested and pleased to be hearing his thoughts. So
Of course.
big welcome back, guys, and a big welcome to you, Rosie. As normal, guys, I have put all their links in the description, so please show them a bit of love. And we've decided to do the podcast live. So just before we start, guys, I will say it will give you a chance to get involved, ask questions. Feel free to pop into the chat and ask away. If it's not relevant to the discussion, I will save it till the very end. So we'll save about 10 minutes at the end so people can ask what pants Skinny has on, or if Neo does like drinking bleach. I will say leave the questions till the end if they're relevant and it's not directly about what we're discussing. As always, guys, keep things respectful as always. So, welcome back all. How is everybody?
Doing my best, bro.
Pretty good, actually.
Absolutely fantastic.
Good.
Yeah, same.
Good. Good to hear. So we'll kick off then. We'll start straight away with the first thing I was going to discuss, and it's been an ongoing thing for about 2 weeks now, I think. 2 weeks maybe. Hooks versus kills. The debate. So what were your thoughts on that, guys?
As in thoughts, as in which side are we on, or... It was honestly an interesting debate to hear both sides.
Yeah.
But I'm personally on the side for kills.
Kills? All right. Anybody else have any other thoughts besides...
I think the discussion was pointless because the point behind this all is like how achievable is it for the role that is clearly in a disadvantage in the highest play of games. And no one of them, like, I think True Talent mentioned it, that it's like in high level, you see it in the tournament scene that killers have to one-hook everyone. And that shows that survivors are too powerful, so the killer can't really do the objectives like it is supposed to be. But balancing around hooks would mean that you have to push a killer to be able to get as much hook as possible every game, which would neglect the survivor skill, and it would be killer-sided. Balancing around kills would mean that people would just slug more, tunnel more, and camp more. So the discussion behind that shit is like, is it really... you get 12 hooks if your survivor team that you face is terrible. You know, like they don't pressure you and stuff like that. And that's how you get 12 hooks. You can't say that balancing for hooks is a good thing because it has always have to be depending on what survivors you're facing. If you face really good survivors, survive your friends, like Marv 88, Bully Squad, like they will beat you. And if you try to go for as much hook as possible. And good survivors will always try to punish a killer that tries to go and get as much chases and much hooks as possible. So the whole debate is, it's kind of nothing on that, because the main issue is on how achievable is it.
Yeah, okay. Anything else to add to that, guys?
Kind of got to agree with what Salty said there. You know, in an ideal world, it'd be great to get 12 hooks. You know, it depends if the survivors are absolute potatoes and they give you that option. You've also got to remember as well that a lot of survivors like to kill themselves on hook as well.
Yeah.
So you can't even get your 12 hooks. But when you're against good players and you're feeling the pressure, and if you've got the opportunity to, say, tunnel and put someone on a second hook because it just opens up for you, you should take that opportunity as a good killer, because against good survivors, they're not going to give you an easy pass. They're going to smash those gens out. So in an ideal world, yes, 12 hooks is good, but when you're playing high ranks, it's not going to be possible to achieve that. You've got to go for kills.
Yeah, okay. Rosie, any thoughts on the topic?
Well, the thing about it is, kills is kind of what you have to do. One thing I wanted to piggyback off of Cptsalty was he was talking about how, like, if you buff killer to the point where they have to do 12, to where the killer can do 12 hooks. If you buff the killer to where they can do that, it has some ripple effects across the entire game to where you accidentally buff killers' slugging game and the kind of play styles that they kind of already don't like with the slugging. If you buff a killer to where their pressure is so good that they are capable of doing 12 hooks against good squads, the killer's still just going to slug the entire time because that's just better and easier. So you kind of just have to go with kills.
Slugging is more pressure than hooks, so that's why people will still do it. And even if you buff killers to be able to get 12 hooks all game, they would still do, but most efficient, and the problem is the pip system punishes efficient killer play.
Yes.
So, are we saying then that which is the right way to play, do you think? Is it going to be hooks, or do you go by kills, or is it just dependent on the scenario?
I have to say something about that. True Talent, or a viewer of True Talent in the stream said something like, Hexy is a hardcore slugger, and if we base a game around hooks, what should happen with Hexy? And True Talent said he should depip as hard as possible. And it's like, no, because Hexy knows when the fuck what he has to do to win. And for him, is a win to get to 4K. And if he plays against a really fucking good team, he slugs, he tunnels, he camps, what is necessary to get this win, in his opinion. And you can't say that your personal opinion is on hooks, but then neglect all other win conditions, because that's basic entitlement on your own playstyle, and you neglecting everything that other people think about it. Because there are killers that say, yeah, that game is survivor-sided, but I can deal with it because I can change and adapt my playstyle towards survivors. You know, they are like, okay, I just completely stop over chasing and try to get them off generator as much as possible, slugging people the first opportunity I get, playing perks like Infectious Fright, which is basically a snowball perk. And if you are a killer that is going for everything and has no moral and no real limits, you can't punish those people for playing this way, because efficient killer playing still is slugging. And if you notice you need a guy dead, you camp them on hook if you have to. It's basically still the efficient way of doing it. And punishing people from doing that because they know how to do it, how to win in most cases, that's just not the simple way. And you can't just say or make it so that killers have to do hooks so others get punished for not playing the game how I want it to be played, because hey, I care about the survivor's fun. Who should care about survivor's fun? Because they have all the advantages in the fucking game. You know? It's like, if a killer has to camp because of survivors being too hard in pressure, he has to camp to win or equal out this game. And you should not punish them for doing exactly that if it's necessary.
And that's the impression that I'm getting from the whole debate, because I see both sides of it. I see the hooks versus kills, and I'm sort of in the middle of it. However, it's like punishing the survivors for doing the gens too quick. You know, are we going to tell survivors how they should be playing? You know, if you do the gens too quick, you'll be punished. I don't know. Are they punished at the minute? Or do they not get as many points? But does it matter? Does it all come down to what is a win again? I know I asked it before. Rosie, what would you consider as a win?
3+ kills would be a win. It's the same win condition that Identity V uses, and it's the thing. It makes their whole system work. If you've played that game, I know it's kind of a joke, but that game has a fully functioning MMR system purely based off kills and escapes, and it works. The matchmaking is solid. You get into a game within seconds. It works. The whole myth about it just not working just has never made sense to me.
Rosie, going off that, that's actually the reason why I go that way, and what's a win for me is because of Identity V and the win-loss system. Like, two escapes is counted as a tie, and then 3 is a win for the killer, and that's generally because of Identity V and how Identity V is, a little bit more of a competitive side game with basically more metas and stuff, and character picks. But just because of that is the reason why I go for that for wins.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I just want to impart today, it's that Identity V is a free game on the App Store. You have nothing to lose to just try it and just see what it looks like.
It's really good. They made the patch where they basically buffed all hunters or the killers, to be able to counter the Cypher rush. Or it's basically even worse than Dead by Daylight because Cypher takes 75 seconds, I believe, to complete. So it's even faster than Dead by Daylight. And they made it so that they can basically slugging and camping is still meta. It's in the game, but it's counterable. So the hunter can get his objective done by killing survivors because no one cares about in my opinion, it's I think the chases and loops in this game are not as powerful. So the survivor can't waste so much time of a killer to stop him from actually advancing in the objective. If we compare that to Dead by Daylight, where you have tiles after tile after tile, sometimes you have chain tiles that people can use to waste millions of your time. The 1v1 is too powerful for survivors in Dead by Daylight. And that's one of the reasons why Gen Rush is such a problem, because the killer can't really catch up by just doing his objective as efficient as possible. So they have to slug, they have to tunnel if they need it, and that's the problem. Just because 1v1 is such a fucking overpowered thing for survivors is the reason why Gen Rush is such a problem in Dead by Daylight. If you have the 1v1 in a more balanced way where killers have more chances to actually end chases faster because the map is not too strong and survivors don't have too overpowered structures to work with, the Gen Rush could be countered by going into the direction where it end phases killers that end chases really fast and not having survivors outplay, having too much of outtail potential for every killer. It's survivors fun should not matter in balancing. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, Brother Phoenix has just commented there saying, if you play for kills, you will never win. Is that
And that's something that Truth Talent said. It's basically, it's something that I said. It's everyone should consider his own win condition. Some people would say 4 barbecue stacks is a win for them. For some it's fun. But for me, it's a 3K or 3K plus. It's a win. That's all. And how you achieve it, it's your own fucking it's your own thing. If you think about you playing against a hyper efficient team, you have to slug to go or you will lose. You don't get your win condition. And if you don't slug because you want to have give survivors as much fun as possible, you lose. And that's why you should not balance around one side's fun. And in this case, don't balance around survivors' fun.
Do you think the developers need to come out and say, this is what a win is? And reward you for that?
I don't really think it's needed. Like we were mentioning before. It's basically, I don't know about you, but say a win for me can just be doing something funny to make the killer look silly, or when a survivor teabags or something, completely outplaying them 2 seconds later. Yeah, I might lose the game. I might technically lose the game and get no kills after, but it's a win for me because I completely screwed them over and made them look silly, and I just find that more of a fun thing. So it's really can you really be called much of say, hey, you lost this game, when really it's a video game. As long as you're having fun, that's really all that matters.
Yeah,
I think they already have, because they're getting rid of the emblem system. Because they are getting rid of the emblem system, they are acknowledging that that's not a win. They're acknowledging that it's a flawed system that doesn't determine skill, and they're getting rid of it. The fact that they're getting rid of it tells you everything you need to know.
Exactly. The pip system is the problem in this case. It's it determines the win, but everyone else sees this it's stupid. I had to sweat so hard to get this 3K, and I still don't pip because the pip system is flawed. I am not allowed to proxy if I have to. The game doesn't acknowledge that. We are in a dire situation. You have to proxy. You have to force a struggle on someone so you get them on death hook to get one out of the game as fast as possible, because there's a map like Haddonfield and they played it perfectly. You have no fucking chance. You have to proxy camp, and in the end you get points less. You get deducted for something you have to do, and it's just the pip system is just stupid.
Yeah. And another thing You can't
considering the
consider
devs
Pip's wins.
itself.
No, you go.
Okay,
you go
you
first.
Okay, considering the devs themselves even said the pip system is, not really working, and they've even said it before on their own streams that it's not really working well. How can you like you guys were mentioning, how can you base something on that completely on how you determine if a game is a win or a loss when a system itself isn't even designed properly? I mean, I can get 4 kills. I've gotten 4 kills before and have de-pipped. Why is that? Why should I consider that as a loss?
Mm-hmm. It's a killer-dependent system, is what I was going to say. It's fucking Legion can run in there, get 2 of them, and still pip, and Plague can 3k and de-pip. Like, it's a killer-dependent system. It favors some killers over others, just by the nature of how their power interacts with it.
Yep.
Yeah, that means... Sorry, go on.
The Rosie, go on.
Oh, was it Rosie?
Well, it's just like you're sitting there. Legion bounces from person to person to person. That's a very favorable playstyle with the system because it awards the more chases you get. The more chases you get, the more you get the found survivor scoring event. It's you find survivors, you get scoring events, and then your pip goes up in the system. Certain killers they play differently, and like Oni, Myers, anybody that slugs kind of gets punished. Like you can't. Like, slugging is designed in some of the characters in and of itself. Like, when they design a character to slug, like Twins, Oni, Myers, when they do that, they are setting the killer up for pipping system failure because they are deliberately making them not play as well. It's ridiculous design, and it's the emblem system that has got to go above anything else.
Yeah. Well, we're going to come on to matchmaking soon. Just quickly about the hooks versus kills debate. I'm going to put you all on the spot here. It wouldn't be a debate if we didn't have a winner. I'm not trying to cause any dramas, but who do you guys think won out of True and Odds?
Odds.
I didn't watch it because I can't stand True Talent.
Right, okay.
Okay, I guess I'm going to be in the minority here. I think True swamped him. I think True absolutely swamped him. Even though I agree with True, not True, even though I agree with Otts, I think True is just such a good debater. I have a video up. I think True won in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, he won because he outpowered some things that Otsawa said, but in this debate about that he was on his 12 hook thing that was completely retarded, and that's why he lost this debate about the hooks versus kills, in my opinion. Because this 12 hook mentality of True Talent, because he likes to get a lot of chases as survivor, so he expects that other killers like it as well, it's just stupid. And Otsawa made some points that I want to point out. He said once, but if I play Trapper and I place 3 traps and I catch all the survivor, is that skill or is that just luck? And it's like, in my opinion, it's like skill because he plays trap that caught survivors. He predicted where survivors go, and it's more skill than just fucking winning a 50-50 guessing game in a loop, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. And he did pretty much win that section. The problem with Otts is he made the whole thing about himself with his streaks.
Yeah.
There was such a big emphasis on those ridiculous, retarded, meaningless streaks. And I think the more he focused on those, the better he made True look. True is wrong about the hooks. He's wrong about that. And the more Otts made his streaks dominate the conversation, instead of True's illogical thinking, it made True look smarter because all True had to just say was, your streaks are dumb, your streaks are dumb, your streaks are dumb, which is objectively true. And the fact that Otts just made the whole thing about himself was such a poor decision when you're going into a debate with True, who divisive as he is a smart guy. And if he is very good at honing in on even the smallest inconsistency in someone's thinking. So the fact that Otts made the whole thing about himself really did True a favor.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I thought, personally, you're not in the minority, Rosie, because I thought True won the debate as well. When I watched it, I just thought he seemed much more prepared, and he offered many more counters to what Ott was saying. It might be down. I didn't look at it from that point of view that you've just mentioned about being personal and protecting his 50 win streak theory, but I did think that True had the better of the debate, and I can sort of understand what he's saying in regards to the 4 hooks. If you watch True, and I know some people said I don't watch him on here, but when you watch him, he does try to make the game, his own gameplay, tries to make it fair. Now, Cptsalty, I know you're probably going to jump in straight away and say, well, fair's...
Just talk and I will say something about it.
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, first of all, True Talent is a guy that is just chasing. That's it. He has no map awareness whatsoever. He has no clue what is going on around him because he's so focused on getting as much hook as possible. If you watch Odd Streak, you actually saw people when he played against kinda better survivors where he completely stopped playing the way True would play to win, to make sure he gets the 4K. He let one guy bled out on the floor to make sure that he doesn't get the hedge in the end. It's just like he was really sweaty and he played and did whatever he could to achieve this win in his eyes. It's a 4K. In True's eyes, it's not a win. In my eyes, it's a win. 4K is a win. It's a perfect win for Killer. He did everything he had to do, like Hexy does in most of his games, to make sure he wins. And the only time he lost was because map RNG and matchmaking, and that's the biggest issue. And we will come to that.
Yeah, we will.
This big bang can come every fucking time. And to get this argument of 50 wins in a row is not really cool because it's just like matchmaking issue and you get lucky with good people, with having bad survivors and stuff. But he also played against really good survivors with that gens really fast, and he had to have the plan around the free gen, around slugging a lot, around tunneling even, to make sure that he gets this 4K. So despite the fact that he lost this whole argument about his streak and he makes his streak personal, he's still a better killer player overall from this standing than True Talent. And if we are on better killer players, Fungus, for example, is also a better killer player than True Talent or Oddstaber. Because the way he plays is, he has so much things in the mind when he does something that he basically makes the killer look far more easier than it actually is. And that's the thing, it's like, Oddstaber can adapt to your opponent's team. True Talent can't. And that's the problem. Yeah. And this is the problem in his flawed argument of 12 hooks. Like, people that watch True Talent agree on most things he did, but if you look at gameplays, he can't adapt to someone that is playing a different way that he doesn't want to play. If he doesn't get a lot of chases, he gets pissed about it, blames the game for that shit and stuff, instead of going and checking on gens and scaring them off gens and starting chases by himself, by actually finding survivors at gens where it matters, he just says this game is so bullshit, and instead of trying it, instead of adapting to a situation where he's not favored, he's never in favor, like no chase benefits the killer, it's always survivor-sided, but he bases this whole debate about his hooks on his personal entitlement of what is fun. And you should not base something around someone's entitlement on fun.
Yeah. Just quickly go on to the chat there. So Reaper Tech, welcome to the chat. He's put on there, I agree with Ott's take on kills. However, True did win in some ways and Ott won in somewhere else. So basically saying it was pretty even debate. Hooks are the leeway to killing, which is helping you win. Survivors during gens the leeway to escaping, which helps them win. That's his take on it. The Minty TRG, again, welcome to you. The 12 hooks means killer has to be nice and not slug, tunnel or camp. Survivors won't be nice back and gen rush you. Click and teabag. I agree with that fully. I mean, that's we'll come on to that with chapter 19 because I don't know if you've seen my video, but I got a bit wound up about this whole this killer's fun, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But you're right, you've mentioned Fungus there, and I've discussed him quite a lot to people off chat when I've been speaking about him. Amazing killer, amazing player of DBD all in general. However, his games are 5-6 minutes long. Now you cannot have 5-6 minute games, and this is me just watching his YouTube, so I don't know if he's being selective in what he picks, but if his games are on average about 5-6 minutes, there's no way he's getting 12 hooks on there. I'm presuming there's,
Nah, not even close. He doesn't even care about hooks. He thinks he's sometimes forcing a death on a hook on some maps like 10 feet or Fractured Cowshed, where he knows, man, if the survivors know what the fuck they are doing here, like, you'll lose. So you have to take everything you can to make sure that you not completely get fucked by the team, So he proxy camps, makes sure that people get on struggle on a far too strong map for survivors, and he knows that. And that's what this whole argument is like based around. Is like people that play like they're assholes as killer, they know how to adapt to a situation where they are under pressure, and they can handle those better than people that are trying to get as much chases as possible because they personally think it's more fun to get as much chases as possible. But there are teams that are so good that you can't just go for chases, that you have to take everything else in mind as well, and the skill in killer is to balance it all out and split your attention onto multiple things. Like, is the gen done? Is someone working on a gen while I go to a chase? Can I actually chase? Or is the chase not benefiting me? Is that guy a good looper, so I have to leave a chase and go to another place? Do I know where everyone is? Can I commit to the chase? Do I know where all the other survivors are? And that's something that a lot of killers, I think, can't do, because they can't really have this, they don't really have this multitasking thing that is needed to play killer in stress situations.
Well, okay. We'll wrap up on hooks versus kills. You've mentioned there about killers. And the next topic we're going to talk about, guys, is matchmaking. And the reason why I'm moving that on from what you said, Cptsalty, because it's quite relevant. So you mentioned about killers, certain people not being able to do certain things with killers. Now, we had a discussion during the week, myself and Cptsalty, and we were talking about the big streamers, the 50k wins, how amazing they are. Now, I was a little bit critical of them because I think matchmaking is a problem. Rosie, you've touched on it and you've made a video on it, I believe, as well. I think this is how I got thinking about the discussion. And matchmaking at the minute is quite broken, and not just in regards to the ranks, but in regards to the hours. So my exact words were to Cptsalty, okay, if the killer that you mentioned, the streamer you mentioned, had 9,000 hours.
But like, there's no survivor that has that many hours that you can match him. Who is challenging that guy? That's the problem. All the veterans left this game or stopped playing because it's shitty. Who is challenging? Who is giving that guy a challenge?
My argument was just exactly that. Matchmaking. There's got to be survivors that have got a lot of hours. Why aren't they getting matched up together? Should the matchmaking change to hours? Because, just to give you an idea, I used piano as an example, and I'm like, you know what? If we had a room, 5 people in a room, all playing piano, all having a competition, would I be surprised that the person who had 9,000 hours of practice was better than the person who had 300 hours of practice? I wouldn't. That's just normal. So why do we treat Dead by Daylight different? Fungus, I'm presuming he's got 8,000-9,000 hours as well. He should be winning every game. Unless matchmaking matches him up with survivors with the same amount of hours. What's your thoughts on that, guys?
I don't think a game should be determined by hours, because I've had times where I've beat someone with 4,000 hours on Legion.
Yeah.
Just when I had 600 hours in the game. Then basically maybe only 100 on killer. And plus, when people get to higher ranks, there's less and less players, or who have more hours. There's less and less players up there. Queue times would just get longer and longer as the more hours you get in the game. Which really you really can't do that. It's not really fair.
Do you not think, this is going to solve a problem in regards to Smurf accounts? So Reapertech has put on about his friend playing green rank Smurfs, but if it looks, probably won't actually, because it'll be a different account altogether, won't it? But
yeah, it'd be a different account.
I just think that, we mentioned the 50 win streaks, and do I get impressed by them? Generally not, unless that streamer has shown me people who have got, and I think True Talent done it. It actually, funnily enough, came up and recommended True Talent Wraith against 15,000 hour survivors. That to me was like, okay, he's went in and looked to see the hours on them because I think 2 escaped. But you know, should it be? What can we do to fix the matchmaking? Rosie, I know you've had quite a bit to say about the 50 win streaks and the matchmaking. What do you think could fix it?
Okay, well, first I'll start with your hours. I think that would be a significantly better metric than what is used right now, because what is used right now is utter dog shit, and anything you put in the game is going to improve it. Whatever they're doing right now it would significantly improve it, because what we're doing right now is just a shit show and a disaster. However, it's not. I don't think it would be a 100% perfect metric, but no metric would be. But whatever you end up to, like, this is why this is so hard to talk about, because if you say, well, we could just do this, Joe Blow over here can just be like, well, it doesn't account for this, this, and this. Or Scott Junn, I guess, would be a better person who would do that. But it doesn't account for this, and this. But, like, you can't expect a matchmaking system to be 100% perfect. We just have to do what the best possible thing is. And while I do think ours would be better, I go where I think the evidence is pointing. And I still just think if you do a flat kills versus escapes MMR type system, I still think that would be the best 100% way to do it. Like they said on their last Q&A that they didn't even ship it live to us because it was just so bad. And I don't buy that. I think the reason that they're not shipping it out live is because they want the game to have bad matchmaking. I think if they know as well as I do that if they fix the matchmaking to where it's at an acceptable standard, those kill rates are going to start looking like 20% through 40%. And only Spirit, Freddy, and the top killers are going to struggle to squeeze around a 50% kill ratio. And that's because the killers are just so weak. And rather than just having to buff everything and retool the game from the ground up, they would rather just leave the matchmaking system broken because they don't have to fix anything, invest money to fix the entire game from the ground up. It's much more beneficial to them when you have a player base that's not exactly driven to fix the problems in the game. They would just rather leave it like that. That's why I get so frustrated with this topic, because the player base just seems to be very complacent, and the people that really want to get it fixed are the ones that get called tryhards and they take it too seriously.
Potato, any thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, it's kind of a hard one. You know, I was kind of hoping that some sort of MMR skill-based thing would come into the game, and then they sort of ignored that and pushed that under the rug, didn't they? I mean... Right now, as you guys know, the current state of it just seems random as to what sort of teams you get. And I just think that's got to do with like queue times as well. It's just like they're just trying to force you with anyone, and they don't really care. I don't even know if there's still any like veteran players around. Like it's very rare that I go against like an insanely good team that absolutely demolish me or are all rank 1. So I don't know how we would fix it because, as you guys said, like I could suggest something, but then there could be like 5 other problems as well. I think they just need to somehow like base it on maybe if the killer's constantly getting kills against this group of players that are constantly doing bad and not escaping, then up the skill up and then pair me with survivors that are constantly escaping and try and match it like that, I guess. I mean, as sort of in an MMR kind of way. I honestly don't know, but they need to do something to fix it because it depends also on the time of day. So if I stream till like 10 p.m., I seem to go against lower ranked players. But when I start streaming at 6, I'm going against normally higher ranks as well. So I don't know what to make of that either.
Yeah.
No, I have that experience too. If I ever stream at like 3 p.m. of my time, it sweats every day until like it's sweat after sweat after sweat after sweat. If I stream at 10, I'll go the whole night without a loss. It's just it's so. Because all the Swifts are on during the day.
Yeah, I mean, I have that issue on a Sunday. Last Sunday, I played Killer all day and never touched Killer again till Friday night. I was
Same.
I had just gone crazy. I was just like
to
sweat
prove
after
thyself,
sweat after
pre-brand new
sweat.
parts.
Yeah, the teabagging,
Oh.
the clicking, the easies. I was like, man alive, what is going on? So I tried it today, and I went on today. Lo and behold, again, all rank 1 survivors. The odd rank 13, I think I spotted, but that was survivor friends. But the matchmaking seemed to be a lot better today. I mean, obviously, I say a lot better. That's what you want. You wanting people around your ranks. Whether I enjoyed it or not's a different thing, but I'm not going to improve unless I play those teams. You know, Potato, you touched on it. You know, you do want to play the teams that escape a lot because that's a challenge. You know, that's what the game's about. You take no pleasure at all killing, you know, rank 13s to rank 20s. It's not a good game at that point. So yeah,
It is equally not fun. It's as equally not fun to go in there and bully somebody that's ranked 17 because the guy has no clue what they're doing. It's just like it's like playing a game against a baby. There's no satisfaction in killing somebody that's just so bad at the game. It's not their fault. They're just new players. But like the problem is you see so many new players because all the veterans leave, and all the veterans leave because they want to play something that has substance. The game is stale, and that's why people leave it. I truly believe there's a very silent like section of like players that would come back to the game if they fixed it, and they like, I don't want to say make it competitive because I know that's a curse word in the Dead by Daylight community, but if you change the mindset of the game and just balance around top players, I really feel like you would see a huge increase in player base.
Yeah, I mean, it was something, I don't know, I've probably mentioned it to you guys before. I've mentioned it on a different podcast. I'm still on the mind process that it is a tough task to balance it out from rank 1 to rank 20s, you know, from the players that are playing all the time to the lower end of the scale. That's when I came up with the suggestion that maybe allow only certain perks for each one. I know it's not, it would need, like Potato said, anytime you come up with something new, there's so many things that could go wrong. But something along them lines to say, the sweaty meta perks, they're going to be in the red ranks. So you need to get the red ranks to play that. That way it gives people the opportunity when they're coming into the game to learn without having to play against Hex Undying and Hex Ruin or Tinkerer, you know, your DSs and stuff like that, and they're learning how to play the game. And then as they rank up, more and more perks open. I know the perks at the minute, I hate the grind that you have to do for the perks. I hate that they've got 3 levels to each perk, things like that. So it would be an overhaul, which would never happen anyway, but that would be my thoughts on it. For that reason, I will say that for the developers, I sympathise with the fact that they are having a balance between new players and the old school ones as well.
It's easy. If you make the game too easy, it becomes far too hard in the higher level and too easy in the early games. And you should make changes that new players that don't understand the game anyway don't really bother about. It's only affecting the higher ranks. Like something like the ruin change, for example. It was the gatekeeper for plebs that can't get into red ranks. It was a gatekeeper. You could not play against ruin. You would not never ever get into red ranks as a survivor. It was a perfectly fine perk. It like the ranks were not bloated. Ranks were always shit. And ranks never mattered. But before they changed ruin, the matchmaking was kinda better. It was never good, but it was better because all those potatoes that could not handle ruin could not get into purple rings or even red rings because they were not learning the game. And that was something that was cool because it only affected the really good players because they could get all the ruin skill checks without failing once, and it would not matter that much because it was still a perk that needed concentration to focus and hit all the skill checks. But people that were not good enough for that could not handle that, they were complaining about it. And it stopped this bloating of bad or boosted players in red ranks. Killers in red ranks were good. Now you have killers in red ranks that are boosted because they play against bad survivors. because all ranks are full of bad survivors, because there's no challenge in survivor anymore. You just do gens because there's no perk that stops them from doing gens. Like, not like Old Ruin, because at Old Ruin you had to actually hit all those skill checks without regressing the gen at once. So it's not frustrating for survivors to sit on gens now. They can just sit on gens, be AFK, and then escape, because you don't need anything else as a survivor. You just have to sit on gens and do gens and go out. You don't even have to know how to loop. Just dropping every pellet, because there are billions of pellets on most maps, is enough to waste killer's time to make him lose the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, Reaper has mentioned killers need to get destroyed by good teams for balance to actually be an issue that people can visually see. Right now, people are calling amazing killers bad players when they are trying their best. Now, the first part of that, I think you touched upon it, Rosie, when you mentioned about the 50k streak, which started this debate. And I've also jumped on the back of that with Cptsalty in regards to the hours, because them killers who we're watching day in, day out, they will get those kills. They are the professional streamers, you know, that's what they do. They get paid to play the game. I'm not saying, you know, they don't get paid. They've got a community. They're streaming. True Talent streams, 12:45 to 6 every night or whatever it is. You know, the hours that they're all accumulating. And is that sending the message to developers when you see 50k wins with this, but you've got people with 9,000 hours versus people with 300-400 hours? It's a mismatch.
I believe that it is. I believe that it is because of almost stats and the way that they're done. Although the stats, the way that the stats are done is just look at the kill rates, guys. Look how good the kills are. Like, you never, even when it says red ranks, we don't know who those red ranks are going against. If that red rank, like I'm fucking red rank. I played 2 ranked 17s and 2 ranked 13s as Deathslinger the other day. Is that going into your stats? Yes, it is. They don't factor out those bad stats. It's just going, wow, look at our kill rates, guys. Look how good killers are doing. Like, because all 50 of Otz's games are going into that character as wins for that character. And I'm not saying that Otz's streaks intrinsically prove anything, but when you have a genius like Almo on your balancing team who is a stats whore, like, what do you think he says when he sees those stats?
Oh, look, we don't have to buff Peak because 50 wins.
Yeah, that's it.
They said it on the Q&A. They said Pick is fine because she's second highest in kill rate. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Pick is the weakest killer in the game because her power only affects when you get a successful chase, you get it down, and against Gen Rushers, you don't get it down. You know, you can't use her ability at all because you have to down the survivor first, then get the head, get the party head, and then it might not even do anything because it can be removed in the first box if they get lucky. It's like, what the fuck? Just because some people camp. Just some people play knockout piggy like me because I like playing like an asshole and I don't care about so much fun, you know. Just because I play knockout piggy doesn't mean that this killer's like top tier. It's like, it's worse. It's like Pig deserves her own tier because she's so inconsistently bad. It's terrible. And they were like, but we like Piggy. We think Piggy's fine. It's like, oh my god, man. Like, she's not fine. She needs a buff. Please buff her.
Right. On that note, and Rex the Protogen, thank you for your messages. He has actually questioned if that is the weakest killer. He's being countered by Reaper, who thinks Pig's the weakest killer as well. Talking about weakest killers, let's move on to chapter 19, guys.
Oh
yes, please. Thank you.
All right, we'll start off with the Potato. What's your thoughts on chapter 19, my man?
The new killer.
Yeah.
I think he's easily earned the title of probably the weakest killer in the game.
Yeah.
He has a really fun power though. It is fun to play. It's fun to go against a survivor as well. I actually played against Tat on the PTB and he played the killer.
Yeah.
And going against him in a chase was a lot of fun. It was exciting. It was new. Like the fact that there's knives coming at you ricocheting and you have to dodge them. It's fun. but they need to work a bit more on his base power in general. Like, I think the add-on for the Ricochet is purple add-on. I honestly think that should just be part of his base kit. Yeah, it should just be part of his base kit, because it will open up more of a skill factor with the ricocheting off the walls. And I think it's 8 hits to actually injure a survivor with your knives.
Yep, it is 8.
Which is a bit excessive. I mean, on certain loop tiles where, let's say, a Huntress can hit you, he will do fine because he can constantly just spam his knives. Even if they're crouched, you'll still hit them on loop tiles. But loop tiles with high walls, he's going to be so weak. Like, cause imagine trying to hit someone 8 times and they could just hide behind a wall. It's going to take you ages to do it. You're basically just an M1 killer. So they either need to increase his actual base movement speed so he's a bit faster, or they need to make it so that his knives do more damage per hit, because it's going to be a pain in the ass for him on certain loop tiles. But then he'll do great on other loop tiles. But if he gets an indoor map, he is genuinely screwed.
Yeah.
And I played against one of them on an indoor map on a live game, and he didn't even get a single down because he just couldn't do anything. And that was on Larry's. That was on Larry's. He couldn't do anything on Larry's.
Yeah,
because
I played him on Hawkins, and I felt the same as well.
Same.
I'll give you a quick plug out here, Skinny, because you did make a video yesterday about changes you'd make to the Trickster.
Yeah, I went through like every change I would like to see done to him.
And there was some good ideas there. So increasing his base speed, reducing the hit, and stopping the decay in the... I can't remember what it was called now. What's it called? The
laceration, yeah.
That's the one, yeah.
I said, like, make laceration something like Deep Wound, where it's up to the survivors to take it down, and, like, you could make it a 2-second interaction for every knife that hits you. So if he hit you with 5 knives, assuming they brought the max counter down to 6, it would take 10 seconds to completely reduce yourself back to 0. But for every 2 seconds that passes, you would lose 1 knife per that time.
Yeah.
I think that would make it fair, rather than it being something like, if you don't keep the combo up, it just goes, because then you're put into a position where if you throw like 2 or 3 knives into someone and don't commit to that chase, what was the point of throwing the knives? Because it's just going to decay. Yeah. Like, it would make more sense if you could put knives into someone to occupy them for a couple seconds while you do something else, or you put knives into them and think at that point they're left in a position where either they sit down and they take the knives out, or they play the risk of being like, I'll leave them in, but know that I'm like 2 or 3 knives away from being injured or down. You know, it would definitely make it more fair if it was something that you could be allowed to like hit and run almost, rather than like being forced to commit to every single chase. If you want to put knives into someone, you've got to commit to them. It would be better if it was a hit and run thing where you can kind of like Legion occupy people by giving them laceration and force them to go and do something with that.
Yeah. I mean, personally, didn't enjoy the chapter whatsoever. I know it hasn't been released yet, so I'm talking about it from a PTB. And I know people say, "Oh, he's a lot of fun," things like that. I know, 3 people have said it on here, but I'm like, how much fun are you going to have if you can't get a kill? If you're really struggling in the game, is that going to be a good thing? I just find him so weak, and I am presuming that there's got to be changes done for him when he's released. They've got to listen to this feedback. 'Cause I don't
behavior and feedback.
Yeah, I know, but literally
nice
everyone's saying it, and I mean, I haven't come across anyone that said this killer is perfect. Keep him as he is.
Dylan.
Who?
Dylan KG said this killer is really good.
Really?
Well,
he tries to be a Pog whisper, so he has to kiss behavior's ass. He has to do something about that. He can't say his shit. No.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even like the design of him. People are saying, "Oh, it's a cool looking character." I'm like, have you seen the run animation at the end screen? When you finish the game, I'm like, what is going on? And people are like, yeah.
It doesn't matter because he winks at you.
True. And one thing I want to mention, Potato, your pronunciation of laceration
No,
was
no,
the
no. It's good.
highlight of my week.
What have I missed here?
Lactation.
Lactation.
Oh
You
my
put
God.
on the. I was like, it came up. Potatolegion's posted a video. I'm like, I'll have a look. See his thoughts about a trickster. And when you said that in the first few minutes, I was like, that was it. Me gone. Crease over it.
Live on Twitch as well. Thanks, guys.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
But yeah, any positives from this chapter, guys?
Rave buff.
Wraith buff.
Yes, of course.
Oh,
Light
I got
camera got fixed.
Blight, not just camera, collisions. Blight on swamp
Collision,
now
yeah.
works. Like, there's
I'm
nothing you
maining
don't
Blight
bounce on. No, step up my territory, potato.
now. I'm actually going to play a lot more Blight because now they fixed him. I watched Dowsy's video of his POV and oh my god, it's so amazing. That's how it should have been from day one. I
do want to mention, however, it's not all like positives with that. There's definitely some teething room with him because in his animations, especially when he kicks a gen, he shrinks down again. He goes back down again. So they need to
That might get fixed before they put it out.
they need to fix that before they bring it to live because I think it's just because they wanted to rush it out and get it on the PTB so people could play with it and they didn't bother with animations. But they definitely need to fix that because it's some really interesting things to witness. Like it's like he kneels down when he kicks gens. It's really weird.
I can actually play Blight now and I don't get sick of motion because it's like, and I don't look at fucking grass on cornfield. I can look above the grass now.
I wouldn't make that call too soon because they've added a head bob to his rush.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
they did.
Tristan.
That wasn't in the patch notes.
Tristan mentioned the devs could have took an extra month to finalise the map rework. So there's not many more maps have got left to do, have there? But obviously they've rushed it in with a chapter 19.
If they rework Codewind, please remove the pick tree. You can't make a map look beautiful and let all the structures in that are problematic, like they did on Autohaven with the party bus and stuff like that. You know, you can't just make a rework a map and let all the problematic structures in it. Like Asylum is even worse than before.
I was just about to say that. I played Crotus today and I was like getting stuck on ramps that weren't there before. I was like, why can't I walk up this ramp and there's like a brick in the way? You know,
the main building is...
Come on, guys.
It's interesting that you say that because they disabled those maps again for a little bit.
Yeah.
The Crotus Pen ones. And I guess they didn't completely fix everything yet.
It was just, I'm presuming they're meant to be there. It was just they've put a little ramp so I went to go up to guaranteed hit and all of a sudden I'm stuck on this, you know, this part of the structure. And it was literally, I looked down, a couple of bricks that my big killer couldn't walk past.
Those ramps that lead into the disturbed ward are stupid. If you chase a survivor and he takes the angle, he gets there, you can't get. You have to go around it and follow the ramp. It's like you get do so much distance on survivor if they use that ramp into the fucking building. It's even worse now for killers.
Yeah, and the window that was next to the generator in the main building, that when I played today, and I'll put the video out, that was an infinite. I stood and I looked and I thought, is there a breakable wall somewhere? And it was literally the survivor was just running all the way around. I had an entrance to the beginning because the stairs were like zigzag going down over. There was no way unless I vaulted that window that I could get a survivor, but I physically could not get a survivor. It might have been an issue with a load up or something, but that particular tile was an infinite because there was no breakable walls anywhere near it, unless I missed it. But
was this Father Campbell's or Disturbed Ward?
I can't remember which one it was, but I had a video of it and I thought I'll have to put it on there.
One or the smaller one?
Yeah, I can't remember. Hooter, welcome to the chat. And you mentioned Deathlinger had a similar issue in his PTB. Now, when you're saying about similar issue, I'm presuming you mean weak when they were in the PTB. I think Deathlinger had it. I think Ghostface definitely had it, didn't he? I think remember when
Ghostface had some more than a few problems.
Ghostface could be revealed literally as soon as you spotted him. You didn't need to stare at him. It was just if he appeared on your screen for a pixel, he was revealed. That was it. Gone.
Yeah.
Better against Ghostface was literally to crank your DPI all the way up and just do generators, spinning your mic, just spinning your goddamn camera around in circles.
Yeah.
Completely outplayed.
The twins had it as well, didn't they? Where lockers became the new meta because nothing could happen to you. So they changed that after the PTB. So I think
That stayed on live servers for at least a week before they came out with it.
Yeah.
And twins is still bad against survival frames because they can still steal the baby, you know.
Steal the baby. Hey, it's not a baby, guys.
No,
We're not allowed
It's
that's
to
you,
not a
say
man.
baby.
That's you, man.
Tristan has mentioned that could have been patient with any current map they were attempting to rework during that time period instead of multitasking with Chapter 19. I think the feedback that I've seen on the question answers is they do have certain deadlines for each one. I know, again, I've seen a few videos this week where people are saying they need to do that health patch. You know, I certainly don't think, and I mean, Chapter 19 hasn't come out yet, but Chapter 18 was, in Potato's words, when we were on the podcast, a disaster, you know, in regards to bugs, things break. And so at the minute, we don't know. We've just gone off what happened in the PTB. I only played the PTB for a day, and I'm a bit disappointed I didn't get to try Blight and Wraith, but the queue times were like 30 minutes in between games.
Yeah.
It was just not viable for me to
Yeah, I had like one game of Wraith, and I love Wraith even more. I'm a Wraith main, and I love him even more. Like now, he's like a really good killer. Actually, they just need to add the Bone Clapper to base kit, and then he's A tier.
Yeah.
I agree, dude. I think Wraith has always been kind of underrated myself. Not like top tier, not like top 3, like True was saying, but like definitely underrated.
This something to do with Chapter 19 because I haven't actually said anything about the Trickster yet.
Yeah.
I haven't either. I have some thoughts too. Keep going though.
Oh, okay. So there's this thing I mentioned. In like a few podcasts back that my problem was with Killer was I enjoyed playing Killer and killing people, but I had not actually found a killer where I actually genuinely like their power. I don't like any of the powers of the killers in the game.
You're a Trickster main now?
As soon as I saw Trickster's power and I started playing it, I instantly fell in love with the power. And even though, yes, of course, like having maybe movement speed increase would be great and stuff like that, but I do think people are dismissing Trickster a little bit too quickly, because I do think he is more powerful than people think, but I still believe he's more powerful than people think, but I still wouldn't even call him the worst killer or even necessarily completely terrible compared to other killers, such as, for example, the pig. And yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I do become a Trickster main, because I honestly had the most fun ever just playing Trickster, because I actually generally enjoyed his power, and I actually had a power that I enjoyed using.
Mm-hmm.
And with the changes to Blight, I noticed that Blight also feels a little bit slower. It feels a little bit slower with the increase, but you get used to it. And honestly, just the Blight changes is just, nice. It's very nice to have. And I would even say after these Wraith changes that Wraith wouldn't even be in my opinion, the worst killer in the game anymore. After these changes that's going to happen, I would say that most likely goes to probably Pig now.
Pig's getting a lot of hate. I think I don't mind Pig. I don't think he's as weak as what
Pig is a weak killer. It doesn't change.
She is weak. She is very weak.
Jay, I probably play Pig more than Legion.
Yeah.
I'm basically, when I'm online and like streaming and stuff, I'm mostly seen as a Legion main. When I'm offline, I pretty much only play Pig.
Right.
Like I look at my profile Pig. Like Pig is one of my favorite killers, and I still say she's probably the weakest killer in the game, just because her power doesn't do anything if you don't get a chase done. And if you play against Zen Rushers, when did you get the chase? Like, when?
Yeah, true.
And if that doesn't change, if you don't make this 1v1 thing powerful for killers, Pig will never ever leave the trash tier. Because that's stupid.
Do you know what I hate about Pig as well? She loses all that stealth factor because everyone knows it's a pig when you spawn in. Like
You see the
that
box. Yeah.
first chase is just lost. Like if you didn't know that it was a pig, like why do the boxes need to be there until the first trap is on? Like when the first trap is on, the boxes should spawn. Then pig gets that first chase in. She gets that first potential down quite quickly, and then she's got that first trap on. That initial chase is gonna help the game massively. But it's the fact that you know it's a pig. Like the second I see a jigsaw box, I am looking around me 24/7. And the second I hear a little bit of grass rustle, I am out of there because I'm a big scaredy cat. But at least I know it's a pig. Like I've been grabbed off the gens by a ghost face too many times because I didn't know it was a ghost face. But if I'd have known, obviously I'd have been a bit more alert. But yeah, that's something that needs to be changed as well.
It's probably behavior too stupid to implement a timer when the boxes start appearing. I don't think they are competent enough to do that. It's like ridiculous. They fucked up a hut, they fucked up movement and broke the game with that. Like I don't think they can add a timer when the boxes for the trap removal spawns on the map. Be honest,
there is an add-on, if I remember rightly. Isn't there an add-on?
Yeah, it's a fucking iridescent add-on where you can't see the boxes until it's active.
Yeah,
I think that is god awful, and people who want it base kit, I hate it because that just gets.
No, I think that should be base kit actually. That would massively improve her power, and it'd mean you'd actually have to go around the map, waste more time, and actually find them yourself.
Problem
But it removes passive base. It removes passive spawn.
There's pros and cons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would remove passive. The passive thing of passive. It would just basically push survivors instead of when they get the head on to go and try get it off. It would push them to do generators first.
Exactly.
So pushing them to pop generators first before taking it off basically gets rid of a lot of slowdown that the pig has.
Yeah. What do you guys think, talking about add-ons and perks, what do you guys think about the Chapter 19 perks? Is there any on there that you think are strong? I mean, for me personally, I pretty much... I was very disappointed to see a gen speeding perk for the survivor.
Yeah, that was...
I'm really not a fan of that one.
Yeah. However, with the Tricksters, I thought that one where the survivors become exposed if you're carrying someone, I thought that could really fit in well in the live servers.
Isn't that like Superstar or something?
Yeah.
Starstruck.
Starstruck.
Yeah.
And the other one was it No Way Out? The
blocks the gate.
So what did you guys think about them?
Basically pre-nerf Remember Me.
I think No Way Out is useless, and I'll tell you why. If you're playing a good team, you're not gonna get a lot of hooks. I don't think you're gonna be able to hook a lot of unique survivors before the time that the exit gates are powered. That perk is gonna give you 20 seconds at best, and I just think I think that's completely useless. I'm thinking his hex is going to be the best. Honestly.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, I did mean that one. Yeah. The bamboozle type one. I can't remember.
Yeah, the hex
crowd control.
If you pair that with Ruin Undying, it's going to help you early game negate some tiles or get some hits just because it exists. The Survivor Vaults, the long wall jungle gym, it's immediately blocked. They either have to burn that pallet or see if they can transition to something else. It's not meant to last the whole game. Like people say it's a hex, so it's going to be bad. A perk like that isn't meant to last the whole game, I don't think, because it's just there to help you early game to get rid of some tiles, get your pressure started. If they cleanse that mid game, you're already started. It's not doing anything for you anymore. And if you use it with Ruin and Undying, like Undying always goes down first, so you're going to be more likely to be started against an average team by the time it goes.
Yeah, it's kind of like Corrupt Intervention, but useful.
Yeah.
But Corrupt Intervention is like people hide, and then you don't do anything for 2 minutes, and then they just start on gens when Corrupt Intervention is gone. This thing is, you get into chases, and the early chases that is really hard for killers, the early game, it basically helps you in really ridiculous details because you just block the window when they wall through it. It's like it just helps you, and they will want to get rid of it as fast as possible. You know?
Yeah.
Potato, what do you think? Mad Grit and not crowd control, Starstruck. Was it Starstruck together?
Starsuck is
terrible combo. That is a terrible combo.
I think it's just gonna open up opportunities for meme builds, to be honest, like Agitation, Mad Grit, that perk, and then the same with the new Blood Warden type perk thing, whatever it's called. Just bring Noed with that and Remember Me, and you've just got whole minute of no ed fun source. So I think it's just an absolute meme build, and it's something fun in the game that, I think I talked about the last podcast how we want fun things to do and experiment with. So having these combos together is just going to allow for some fun meme builds. And to be honest, I actually really don't mind the Trickster's perks too much. I think they're all pretty decent. The Survivor's perks are absolute garbage, and I can't see any of them being used. Even the exhaustion perk is just garbage. You're just better off bringing
the exhaustion perk.
But if a killer respects pallets, which, let's be honest, 90% of them do because they're not playing right, you're never going to get that exhaustion perk value because you actually need to stun the killer before it to activate.
See, I didn't like that exhaustion perk because when you stun the killer, you already have a few seconds to get to a tile transition. And since the tiles spawn up each other's ass cracks anyway, you don't really need a 3-second sprint burst to chain a tile together.
Exactly.
It's good on Wretched Shot where the tiles are so spread. Probably that's the only map where it might be good.
Just bring Dead Hard.
Fuck Dead Hard.
Dead Hard's
remove that perk. Remove that fucking perk.
I agree. I agree with you, Cptsalty. Get rid of it. It's just it's hard. It's so hard to.
It makes the killer's job even harder. It shouldn't be like that. It's like you for the mathematics. Just Survivor running in a straight line. For you to catch up, you need two times 15 seconds because you give them a speed boost when you hit them with one attack. And then they waste 30 to 33 seconds just by fucking running in one straight line. That's ridiculous. Just think about it. And then combine it with a good looper after one guy got like 5 loops around the safe pallet, then fucks up. Oh no, I have Dead Hard, so I get another loop of it. It's this perk just deleted. Like I'm all on Ryuga's opinion. This perk should not be existing. No social perk should be in this game.
My opinion with Dead Hard is the fact that the thing that I dislike with Dead Hard is I feel like a movement speed, a thing that gives you extra movement, should not be on a button press. Should not be on a button press that you can just go press. Okay, done.
Perk just feels bad.
No movement speed or movement increasing should be on a button press.
I think
the effect of Dead Hard that debatably needs an activation condition. Like that's how good that perk is. It could be a simple one, like safely unhook a survivor, but like that needs an activation condition for how good that effect is.
I think the main problem with Dead Hard as well is you can vault and drop a pallet like straight after you've used it. Like if you couldn't do that for like a second or two, it probably wouldn't be as much as a problem as it is because you'd like Dead Hard to the window, but then you couldn't vault it.
You can't vault it, yeah.
And the killer could just down you anyway. But the fact that the perk should be more focused on the whole dodging the swing, which gives it more of a skill factor. But 99% of the time, it's used to get to that pallet or window. And that's what buys you more time. It's not really used to dodge the swing. Like, an experienced killer will not fall for that. They will bait the Dead Hard and then hit it. But it's when they use it to get to a window or pallet and they can instantly vault and drop it. That's bullshit. Because the amount of times I've fucking lost a chase, I thought I'd bind game them right, and they've just gone, yeah, fuck you, Dead Hard, window vault, boop. And I'm like, wow, okay.
I think that's the distinction between good and bad survivors. I don't know if any of you are in any social media groups for this game, but like there are some survivors in social media groups that unironically think Dead Hard is bad. Like and I think if they see any survivor that thinks Dead Hard is bad, they're viewing it just as a dodge the swing type of perk. And I think when Behavior designed the perk, I think that's what they had in mind. It's a dodge the swing perk. But I think they just had left a critical oversight of Dead Hard for distance in the perk. I really don't think they're smart enough to like understand what they did.
Dead Hard for distance is the most broken thing next to Survive with Friends in this game.
I think Dead Hard's the best exhaustion perk.
It is by far. It's debatably the best perk in the game.
Yeah. So talking about perks, Rosie, we always ask the guests that come on, what's your favourite perk for Survivor and what's your favourite perk for Killer?
Oh shit.
So you put you on the spot now, haven't
I? Okay. See, I could just be. I'm gonna give a controversial answer. Okay. When you're asking what my favorite perk is, I acknowledge that the perk I'm about to say is unhealthy garbage, and I'm so glad it's getting deleted. I'm so glad it's getting deleted. when Ghostface came out and everyone was saying he was absolutely broken. Okay, I don't know if anybody remembers that era of the game. But when Ghostface came out, everyone was saying he was broken. I was reading some of the perks about how to counter him, and I came across this perk called Object of Obsession, and I slapped it on, and then you could just watch him crouch the whole time, and matches just got so insanely easy. I think when I started running Object of Obsession, I was a rank 14 survivor. I was a rank 7 by the end of the day. That's how busted that perk is, and it wasn't even just against Ghostface. And like that's the perk. Like that's what I run when I play Survivor now. But
so you're saying that your favorite perk is Object for Survivor?
It's certainly a perk I find way too much enjoyment out of. But I guess if for a real answer though, I'm gonna say Detective's Hunch. I think Detective's Hunch. I think if the fact that we've had so many hex perks get nerfed when Detective's Hunch is in the game is absolute fucking nonsense. Detective's Hunch can destroy all 5 totems after the first 2 gens are completed. And the fact that any hex perk has gotten nerfed is just a joke. Because that perk is low-key so good.
No, it's just because people don't want to be forced to one new perk to count another perk. But hey, you can just make survivors change one of their broken perks to get one situational perk. It's not that much of the big deal, you know? Like killers have some good perks, they get nerfed. Survivors have good perks, they don't get nerfed. Finally, they get nerfed D-Strike, and Object, but it's like you can expect a survivor to just run something that is situational to counter totems and switching one of their broken perks out, you know? It's like it's basically the whole point of nerfing hexes is no pointless because there are so many perks in this game that just counter them. It's ridiculous.
And then my favorite killer perk, I haven't really run this much, but I've always wanted to work with it. I always thought that they could have done a lot more with Dark Devotion. Dark Devotion has some weird gimmicky synergies. Like if you use Doctor and you hit the Obsession and you do a Static Blast, the Static Blast comes from the Obsession. I always thought there was some gimmicky shit you could like maybe design a killer around that transfers the... Because there's no other effect in the game that does that. Transfers your terror radius to a survivor. I think they can make a whole killer around that specific perk.
Yeah. No, that's quite interesting. And Alex has said his favourite perk was Red Herring, but he also said Dark Devotion as well. I've seen Dark Devotion get used so effectively by some killers that I just think, I can see the benefit of that. You know, I've seen survivors just run into the killer, no idea what's happening, you know, running straight at him because they think they're being chased by another survivor. Well, the killer, they think the killer's on the other side, but it's the other survivor with a terror radius. I didn't realise that about the Doctor, though, so his Static Blast will come from... That's interesting. It's interesting.
God damn, I thought I would have another one who said Object.
Well, I was just about to say, when you were saying it, Rosie, I thought, it's not as controversial as you think, because Nio, his favourite survivor perk was Object of Obsession.
I run Object every game, bro.
Even though it's actually not bad anymore. I would say.
Well, I hope you run it solo queue. I hope you run it solo queue, Rosie.
Yeah, I run it in solo queue. Sometimes for science. I do it in Swift sometimes for science, okay? It's for science.
Yeah, I know Muff88 did this as well. Muff88 was using Object to show how broken Survivor Friends really is and stuff.
Science.
Science.
Tristan mentioned his favourite perk is Bond. It allows you to navigate all Survivor's location. Bond is an excellent solo perk, I would say, solo queue perk.
Probably base kit.
Dwight has some really powerful perks, or really strong perks when it comes to Survivor Friends, but Bond, I'd say, is more for solo queue. I think that's really good. But Prove Thyself is one of... You know, I see that on a Swift team, perk. And I'm like,
Prove thyself.
Yeah.
You proved yourself, Dwight. Can we nerf the perk yet?
Yeah. So that was it for the questions for me, guys. Did any of you guys want to bring up anything else?
Well, I didn't get to talk about the Trickster, and I have quite a few things to say about him. No, you're fine. I agree. I forget who said that he's being kind of overlooked. Because everyone's writing him off as like a bottom tier, I think like I honestly think he was designed to be okay. Like I think they're probably gonna buff him when they bring him to live servers because it's not exactly working. But I think they tried to make him a decent character, and I feel like he kind of might be because like people are saying he's weak. Everyone's weak, guys. Everyone's fucking weak. So like, but like, is he really gonna be worse than Trapper? I mean, yeah, probably not. But like, what my biggest issue with him, apart from the design, how he doesn't really fit the game, but like he's just like I say this as a console player. I'm a console player, guys. I shouldn't have said that. So I haven't exactly played him yet, but just watching him, he just looks so fucking boring. Like I mean, I know you guys said he's fun to play, and I've heard everyone say he's fun to play. But you know, okay, I can't help compare him because there's a new Identity 5 character that just came out. He's being tested. He's called the Broken Wiill. Okay, this motherfucker, like, he rolls across the entire map as a wheel. He spikes people, and then he throws these bear traps, and like, it just like that character is just so creative, and like he takes the whole genre in like a direction it hasn't gone yet. And then you go look at Trickster, and he throws knives, bro. And if you run a purple add-on, they can ricochet off the wall. Like, I just think he's so boring. Like, I get that they needed to do something a little standard because the Twins was a mess. But I just feel like they took it too far in the other direction. I just think he's super bland. Just from watching him, at least. I'm sure he's fun to play, but he just looks so bland. It looks like they whipped him up in an afternoon. It really does.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen so many comments, you know, on social media in the Dead by Daylight groups, people saying, you know, hats off to the art team. They've done an amazing job, and I'm like, have they? You know, have they really done an amazing job? I don't see anything that makes it stand out. And I mean, I had this debate with someone, and they'd said, you know,
it's a Korean Joker. Like, let's be honest.
People were like, oh, it's a great design. You know, what else could they have done? And I'm like, hang on, you know, so we're talking about, we've got all this history of horror, you know, you've got vampires, mummies, zombies, all these different genres of things, you know, and they come up with this. Don't get me wrong, I read the lore and I thought it was really interesting. It's probably
come on, you have Christmas onesies. What is more far away from a horror game than Christmas onesies?
I'm not
like, this game is a joke.
Yeah.
It's not even like Identity
okay, I agree
V.
with that.
Identity V is more scary than this game.
Okay, I agree that the game is a joke, and I agree with that. But like, my problem is when you're that's all Survivor stuff, and like some people were saying, well, look at Mr. Puddles. Mr. Puddles is fucking creepy, bro. I think when you're standing next to Michael Myers and Leatherface and Freddy Krueger, and like you have to have a certain standard, and I just don't think he meets the standard.
Yeah, exactly. Like comparing to any other killer, it is not really not giving me the horror aesthetic that I'm actually trying to get in this game. At least killer side. Like, survivors are a joke. Like, it's like this whole like Christmas onesie stuff, and maybe having like funny fluffy costumes for religion, for example. It's like ridiculous. But that's one straw too far away from where they should head.
The only thing I enjoyed in the PTB was I was playing on Coldwind, so I was in the middle of the con doing a gen, and he comes running towards me, and I actually thought it was a survivor. And I enjoyed that element, and I was sat there, and I could see this guy running, and because it was in the con, I could only just see like this figure coming towards me, and I was like, great, this David is going to come and help me do this gen. And then I looked and I was like, shit, that's a killer, and just like literally lucky enough had a tile I could run to straight away. I did enjoy that aspect. That's
why you're going to run monitor and abuse on him.
Right? Yeah, you're going to run monitor.
Definitely. I did really enjoy, I do really think that he's going to be very marketable for them in regards to cosmetics. I think they're probably going to go crazy with the cosmetics on him.
Can we stop talking about
I can't wait for it. I can't wait for his cosmetics. I'm really looking forward to them.
Cosmetics they can't be worse than his base skin, bro. They can't be worse than his base skin.
I like the base skin as well, but that's just my opinion.
But cosmetics don't fix anything about the game, so they don't matter.
Facts.
It does. He winks at you. End of story. And he laughs when someone DCs. So he has that.
He laughs when someone DCs.
Yeah, he laughs when someone disconnects.
Ah.
He has set triggers for his laughs. It's when he hooks someone, when he combos, there when he laughs. It's not like specifically when they DC.
Right.
That would have been a super nice touch.
That
though.
would have been good. Yeah. So
DC
last
laughs.
question then. Last question comes from Alex.
To say something about Trickster.
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, the problem with Trickster's add-on base kit is like the same problem I have with the clown rework. It's basically you add new add-ons that are basically just fixing something that should be base kit. Like those feather add-ons from clown that decrease the cooldown after you throw a bottle to get the hit in. Why is that not base kit? Is it that powerful that you have to use an add-on for that shit? No. The same thing goes for the laceration timer decreasing add-on, which is the green one for Trickster. Why is that not base kit? It's like it basically reduces your hits that you take with knives to 6 instead of 8 to injure someone. Why is that not base kit? Is that too powerful? Why do you have to use add-ons to make a power useful? That doesn't make sense. Like they could have made so much more. It's like his power doesn't do much. It takes too long to down someone with his power, and you would just try to play him as an M1 killer because that's basically what he can do. Most best.
I think someone commented on the video that I've done. So I've done a video saying he is the worst killer in DBD at present. And someone said they think that the devs are probably scared of the backlash when it comes to making strong killers. Now, remember when Pyramid Head came out and the first few days...
he was never strong.
Survivors were all over the forum. This is ridiculous, not playing again. He's got to counter everything. He counters borrowed time. He not borrowed time, DS. He counters...
But that's what the strong killer should do.
Well, I have something I want to say on that. Okay? The devs need to ignore it. If you... Like, the problem is that we have a very, very, very undisciplined player base. The player base is akin to a child screaming... And then when mommy comes and pats the child on the back 8 million times, that's how you create spoiled brats. There's a point where you need to just tell the player base no. And I think the devs are they're really good at telling us no, just at all the wrong things. Exactly. I think if you just ignore the backlash, if you just ignore it, and then it goes away eventually. And I'm also of another controversial opinion that the survivor player base needs a purge. I think a lot of survivors that are playing the game need to quit. So if you're designing a killer that's weeding babies out, I think that's a really good thing for the game.
Exactly. And that's why I'm disappointed with the yellow shitty piss bottles of Clown. Because why do they have in mind that survivors can be interactive with a killer? It's like a guy that wants to kill you. You should not have fun with that guy. You should try to get as far away as possible from that guy. Why should they design a bottle that you have to throw that takes 2 seconds until it does something, and then it only lasts 5 seconds and survivor can use it as well? It's like, why do you design something like that? Who cares about the fun of survivors? Like, it's a killer. It's a killer that should be punishing survivors, and this killer gets laughed on by survivors. Which is like, what is the point of that? Same with Pirate Head. When he came out, he was fucking strong. But people were complaining about it. It's survivor entitlement. They think they deserve to 1v1 outplay his killer. Which is not the case, because the game is a 1v4 thing. It's 4 survivors versus 1 killer. So the 1 killer should be powerful enough to bring down Brats as fast as possible. And has as least outplay potential as possible. But they try to make it fun for survivors to make killers worse. It's like, what is the point of that? It's a killer.
That is why I don't have a problem with a lot of the killers people have a problem with. I don't mind Spirit. I don't mind Nurse. I don't mind Deathslinger. I don't mind any of these characters. They deserve to be as good as they are in the 1v1. Survivors, I know I was excited I wasn't going to come on here and bash content creators, but content creators also drive this notion home. Tofu sits there, he goes, the survivor should have 50-50 counterplay at all times, bro. Like, no. Like, that's how you create an unbalanced game. Yeah, the killer should have control over the tiles. If the survivors are lasting 30 seconds, they should be going, I did good.
Yeah, exactly.
For real.
I think
There's so much you have to do. You have to find all 4 survivors to kill them in the end on hooks. If you waste so much time on one survivor because he has everything he has to just waste your time, what is the point of playing killer then? It's like you don't feel powerful enough. You don't feel like your chase does anything. And it's just like if you still design this game with a fun perspective for survivors in the back of your mind, you will never fix the problems that is gen rushing. Because if you make the 1v1 too powerful for survivors, the killer can't really catch up to the objective of survivors. And that's the biggest issue why gen rushing is such a big issue in this game, but it's not in Identity V, for example.
I think I'm going to check out Identity V tonight after this podcast because it's been mentioned a few times.
You really should.
But yeah, I think we could probably speak for another hour about this topic. So I think we'll probably carry that over into next week at some point. One question. Did someone else want to add something there? I just heard something.
Well, another thing that I noticed with Identity 5, right? Just sort of talking about the killer powers and stuff, is with Identity 5, killers start off weak, like significantly weaker, but as you say, give more, I think it's called like more fear or whatever to the survivors, presence.
When you hit a survivor,
pressure.
presence goes up.
You actually become more powerful as a killer, and you unlock more and more abilities and more, say, passives, which the quicker you're able to put pressure on the survivors, the more powerful you actually become sooner for endgame. Which is
interesting.
A really nice, interesting side to Identity 5.
Yep, it's kind of like Oni, but like it's like you get rewarded for doing as much pressure as possible, and the survivors get into a situation where they just have no chance of trying to get away from a killer, and they just have to do ciphers and get out. That's basically it, and that's how you counter the objective of someone to make the objective of the killer powerful enough to counter survivors being as efficient as possible. That would be a good idea, to have a killer that gets stronger. The more pressure he has, the stronger, the more presence. Something like a presence is a really nice idea for that in general.
I think we've got Tristan on the chat at the moment, and Tristan has been subscribed to my channel for quite a while now. Now, he has come up with so many different concepts that I just think, and this is what's been disappointing for me with Chapter 19 is, and I think it's been like that since Pyramid Head. I know, Skinny, I know you play Blight. I know some people play Twins, and I know Nio, you're loving the Trickster, but it's just been disappointment after disappointment because there's all these theories that are around on the internet. People are coming up with all these theories that just sound amazing in the game, and then you just get a boring old killer out. But like I said, guys, I'm going to wrap it up now because we can probably talk for another hour about that. One question, Alex, he's asked me to remind you again. He's asked, so we'll just say a quick yes, no. We'll start with Captain Salty. Do you like K-pop? No. Potatolegion.
Kinda. I don't mind.
Myself, I don't mind a bit of BTS, no, so I'll have to say yes, I do like K-pop, but just in small moderation. Rosie?
No.
No. Nio?
Well, metalhead, bro.
Same.
I like a lot of music, and when I was in the loading screen for the Trickster, I was blasting K-pop over the fucking just waiting there loading. I was just blasting that K-pop. Yep.
Fair
had
enough.
to delete the one after, but yeah, I had fun.
Great, so it's a yes from you. Skinny?
No, I don't. But I do like Trickster, and I do like his menu theme. I just don't like K-pop.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Just before we go, guys, any last questions from chat? We have went over quite considerably today, but hopefully none of you mind. I know, Potato, you always have a strict streaming schedule, so I do apologise for breaking into that.
What type of pants is Skinny wearing?
He's wearing blue jeans.
Oh, top tier.
So, all right, it doesn't look like we've got any more questions, guys. So, thank you, everybody, for coming on. Captain Salty, Nio, Potato, Rosie, and SkinnyQuinny. Thanks for giving up your time. We'll do it again next week. If you have any ideas, guys, who are on the call and guys in the chat, any ways, different ways you want to see the podcast done. I know some people mentioned maybe fortnightly, so we have more to talk about. Maybe weekly, but less things to talk about. I don't know. Oh, hang on, Tristan. Go on then, Tristan. Nice and quick. Last question. No pressure, Tristan. We're all sat waiting for you on the chat.
No pressure.
Hurry the fuck up.
Just take your time. We have time.
I want to go play Minecraft.
So what do you think of...
Said thanks for doing the podcast.
Sorry?
My stream said thanks for doing the podcast.
All right, yeah. Do you... Did they have any things on chat that were interesting at all, Potato?
Someone asked about a build, but I think they were joking because the build is kind of memey. It was
Right.
Ruin, Barbecue and Chili, Noed, and Thriller the Hunt.
Yeah, I think that's an
Tot.
amazing build. Yeah, that's an amazing build.
I don't know myself about that one.
Hey, on Hack, this build could work because she's the queen of Hex protection. So
Mm. Tristan's question was, what do you think of Dwight Fairfield?
Put him in a maid outfit.
The what, sorry?
Did you say paid outfit?
Put him in a maid outfit, yeah. That was on the last Q&A, so I thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah.
I think
Wait,
everybody loves Dwight.
I mean, he's one of the most
Hold on,
problematic perks.
that ain't what the question says, bro. The question says, what do you think of Dwight Fairfield ex-Huntress smut fanfiction?
Oh, I didn't
And to
see
that I
bit.
say, no!
Yeah, I say no as well. I think Dwight seems like he's going to be a bitch, basically, isn't he? You know, so, yeah.
About
I-
Dwight Fairfield
Really
is
terrible. Please send me a link.
Oh my
So,
god.
Right, so we'll wrap it up there, guys. Again, thanks again for coming on. Thanks for chat. Amazing having people coming on and asking questions and that. We will do it again same time next week. But like I said, any thoughts, any opinions, tell me in the podcast, in the Discord. I've got a Discord, so I think it's just there, podcast chat. People will pop in there and pop in the questions or the thoughts, things like that. Anything they want us to discuss. And also let me know if you preferred it live or not. Personally, I thought live was probably better, because I think it gives you guys the opportunity to ask the question, get involved, have your thoughts as well. But if you preferred the recorded version, just let me know, guys. It will be on Spotify tomorrow, so I will upload it. So, yeah, so that's it, guys. So, thanks for joining us.
Kiss.